Hi guys, this is Klazart bringing another audio commentary, and this time I'm commentating on the OSL round of 16 matchup between July and Much. And everything is on the line here, folks, for these two players. This map is Medusa. It's one of the new maps. It's a 3-player map, and there's still questions over balance and fair play on this map. But I think it looks like an interesting map. I think we're going to see some interesting StarCraft from both these two players, especially in the kind of form that July has been versus Protoss, and considering the fact that Much has looked vulnerable, to say the least. Right now, July 1-1 with 1 victory and 1 loss. Much with 2 defeats to his name. Both players needing a win here to give themselves maximum chance to go through. July wanting to win here to guarantee himself at least a playoff, depending on the outcome of the next match. Much obviously needs to win to even be in contention, and even then it would be a mathematical possibility, and really at this stage, unfortunately, StarCraft is the sort of game that you can only control your own destiny for so long, and once you've actually lost momentum, lost the initiative, it's very difficult to put yourself back in prime contention, and unfortunately that's a very cool drawing there. Unfortunately for Much, he has done exactly that. He has lost the first 2 games of his tournament bracket, and therefore he is in a really tight spot right now. July, at least having won 1, if he wins this, can really put himself in a strong position. Much having put the pylon down and taken his force with National Expo. Let's just talk a little bit about this map. It's an interesting little map. What interests me the most about this map is how you've got this ridge behind each player's base, and that really, I think, favors really impact much more in a Terran-based game. Although Protoss players could wreak havoc much with the probe going up behind July's ramp. And interestingly enough, July's chosen to take the min only straight away, and maybe he was hoping that Much wouldn't scout that. But Much has put a pylon down just north of July's min only with that probe. He's also put his forge down, so it looks like Much might be going for a cannon here against July. July now putting down the spawning pool, and if July doesn't spot this, he could be in a little bit of trouble. July looks like he's taking his min only expo, so we're looking for some fast action starting off here against these two guys. This is a huge gambit by Much. He's really throwing it on the line. He's building a gateway. He's building a gateway and looks like another forge. It looks like he misbuilt something. He looks like he built a forge there. He's building a second forge. I think that's the purpose of that, is to try and maybe block July from sending the drones up there to try and get past that block. And now he's building a photon cannon. So I think the forge was there. He already had a forge in his main, so I was surprised that he was building a second forge. I think the second forge was just simply to try and block July's drones from getting through and attacking the pylon and cancelling the pylon to basically buy time for the photon cannons to come up. Clever strategy by Much, and July obviously spotted it just about in time and has sent his drones up. The forge is up. That's not what July is concerned about too much. He's much more concerned about the photon cannons. July now looks like he's putting a creep colony down in his mineral line. July's going to be in huge trouble here. Much with a risky gambit. It looks like it's going to pay off for him. July continuing to hammer away at that gateway, but the gateway and the forge together are going to serve as enough of a block. The first forge coming up now and hammering away at July's mineral line, and July in huge trouble here completely. Unfortunately for him, he didn't react fast enough, and Much was clever enough in what he did. July has managed to get a couple of Zerglings out. He's also gotten his hatchery up at his mineral-only expo. He's trying to get those Zerglings around the gateway. I don't understand why July didn't send those Zerglings around, his drones around the gateway for whatever reason. I guess the drones couldn't get through, but the Zerglings could, and that's what the purpose of the block was. But July with the Zerglings looks like he's actually going to be able to take this down. He's actually already killed one of the photon cannons, and I'm really surprised that July actually managed to pull that off. I guess the block wasn't good enough, and July managed to come around and take 2 of the photon cannons out, and that's very significant. But the key here is that July is not mining. Even though July isn't mining, and Much is, it has to be remembered that Much is expending a lot of resources on this attack against July. July has managed to find a corner in his base once he's killed those 2 photon cannons to mine, and looks like Much again trying to block those Zerglings from getting through. July managed to bring another 5 Zerglings in. He should be able to finish off Much's attack here. He managed to take the photon cannon down. He's got more Zerglings coming in. He managed to kill the probe as well, so Much is not going to be able to produce any more units, and all the resources that Much has invested, Much cancelling the photon cannons now. He's going to lose that attack. The question is, has Much done enough damage to July's economy to give himself enough of a lead? I'm not really convinced that he has. Zealot pops out for Much, just to delay July a little bit more from countering with those Zerglings, probably to give Much a little bit of time to build defenses at his natural expo where he's got that forge and pylon up. Obviously Much, having put that early forge down, not really able to take advantage of that by getting his natural expo up. He's now putting the nexus down at his natural expo. July obviously having secured the one good thing that speaks in July's favor is that he did have that natural expo up, so he is going to be pumping drones from both places, and he did put that natural expo up very early. So Much, with what looked like almost a perfect cheese build here, really committing himself to what one might describe as slightly insane to say the least, but unfortunately it didn't work out for him. July is in a decent position. It's still difficult to say whether Much has done so much damage to July's economy that he's essentially now hamstringed for the rest of the game and will be fighting with one hand tied behind his back. Well, that remains to be seen. Looks like July is now ready to take his natural expo. This map reminds me a little bit of Talcross. This is a 3-player map, as I said, and it'll be interesting how games will develop on this map. And Much has got another probe up there to harass July's drone from getting that natural expo down, just slowing him down a little bit more, slowing down that second gas as well. Obviously, Much having put down his own Nexus at his natural expo, but July, I think, is not in too bad of a position here. I think July's got a decent number of drones. His economy isn't too badly hurt, and Much did invest a lot of resources in that rush on July. So it's almost like starting from scratch with, say, a Protoss putting Forge and Nexus and the Zerg going for a 3-hatchery build. It's almost a little bit like that, but it's really difficult to calculate the exact extent of the damage done by Much versus Much onto July. Much obviously getting his cybernetics core up now. And it'll be interesting to see if July will be in a position to tech the lair anytime soon, now that he's taken his 3rd hatchery down. I've been looking forward to this game, July versus Much. I mean, July is such a maverick of a player. He's just so unpredictable when it comes to his play against Protoss. He's so aggressive, and it's just fascinating to see a Protoss player take the aggression to July and kind of try and beat him at his own game. I'm not sure if that's a wise move, considering how good July's micro is. That was some pretty solid play by July in terms of defending against that attack. He didn't crumple under the pressure, which you might have thought another player might. And Much using the probe trait, using the pylon trait to try and get through up that pyramid. Looks like he's actually managed to get up through that mineral line. I'm not sure if that's intentional. Maybe that's what people are talking about when they're and a cheap Joko ripoff there for I believe is that a Much poster? I'm not sure who that is on the poster, but Much has managed to get a probe up to scout in July's base, past July's defenses, and that, I have to say, that is something that I would consider to be slightly unfair and unbalanced. That a Protoss player is able to do that, to get into a Zerg opponent's natural expo where the Zerg opponent could high tech and also scout his main from there. That is a little bit unfortunate. July looks like he is teching to lair now in his main, Much having managed to maneuver that probe past July Zergling somehow down the ramp, and he's now sending a couple of Zealots out to harass July. He forced July. July is putting the Sunken down at his natural expo, but that Sunken isn't down yet. But he's got about 6 Zerglings as well, so he's going to be able to defend this comfortably enough. So those 3 Zealots are not going to do much. Meanwhile, Much has got his Stargate up, as well as what looks like a Citadel of Adon going up. So we might be seeing DTs pop out here for Much. Again, I haven't seen a robotics facility go down at all, so I don't think that he's going to be trying to go for a DT drop. July looks like July putting his Spire down. For a second, I thought maybe he might try and go for the lair level kill just with Hydralisks and Zerglings, but he has put down that Spire, probably because he knows that he's going to need Scourges at least at some point to prevent his opponent from getting. We know that July doesn't like to allow his opponents free reign and air superiority, and he doesn't like to be restricted in where his Hydralisks are. He doesn't like to be forced to have his Hydralisks only in his main. But July now has got his economy in a decent position. He's got his 3-hatchery build going. He's got his tech up. He's got his lair. He's got his Spire almost complete. Much sending the Corsair out to scout. July so far just using his Zerglings to try and box Much into his